As of this morning, sources tell CNN that leaders at the Department of Justice have not spoken to Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino since the middle of last week, when he implied that he could no longer continue in his role as long as Attorney General Pam Bondi was there. Bongino didn't go into work on Friday after an apparent fallout with Bondi over her handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. President Trump has not only sided with Bondi, but is now telling his supporters to, quote, not waste any time or energy on the Epstein case, while claiming on social media that the files were written by Democrats with absolutely zero evidence pointing the finger at former President Barack Obama, among others. This has infuriated many in MAGA world, considering this is what top members of the administration had promised.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not letting it go ever. Ever.
We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
President Trump has given a very strong directive, and that's going to be followed.
Wow. Okay. So
a lot of documents.
yeah. Okay. All right. So people can expect actual movement on this. It's not just empty promises.
Oh, Donald Trump doesn't make empty promises.
Yeah, all right.
Let's get some perspective from former FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge Mike Feinberg. He says he was pressured to resign from the Bureau earlier this year after being singled out for his long-standing friendship with former FBI official Peter Strzok. Remember, Trump and allies have targeted Strzok, who played a senior role in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Mike, thanks so much for being with us. It looks like your video just went off, but can you hear me? There he is. Can you hear
Yes,
me,
I can. My apologies. We're experiencing a bit of weather here.
No worries. I'm glad that you're indoors and that our connection is secured. What's your reaction to the Department of Justice after promising to put out flight logs and client lists, et cetera, their plan that they're not going to release any new documents on the matter of Jeffrey Epstein?
This is another reason that when picking senior government officials, you really want to try and find sober-minded, pragmatic men and women who know better than to get ahead of facts before they've actually discovered anything. Patel, Bongino, and to a lesser extent, Bondi really spent, depending on how you time it, the past 4 to 8 years using every position they've held to undermine the credibility of the Justice Department. It's not really a surprise now that their own base doesn't believe them when they make official statements.
Is it your view that these folks ran on promises to uncover this wide-ranging conspiracy that involved figures, including former presidents, and then when they took a closer look, there was no there, and now they're stuck with what their supporters see as a cover-up?
Yeah, look, this is the difficulty with fomenting conspiracy theories. It's very easy to build them up and tell people that they're not getting the whole truth from the government. But once you become a member of that government, it's very difficult to convince them that all of a sudden they can believe you. This problem facing the FBI and DOJ is entirely the making of Patel, Bongino, and Bondi.
Do you sympathize at all with the view that there was a significant amount of information around the Epstein case that would lead to skepticism about whether the public was getting the truth or not? There's a lot of skepticism about his death by suicide, about his connections to all sorts of world figures. So I think naturally a lot of folks would have significant questions. Are you saying that you don't think that this investigation was shaped in any way so as to suppress information or deceive the public?
No, I don't think that. You know, I was not in the New York field office when this investigation was going on, but the Bureau rumor mill is a pretty efficient machine. And, you know, I generally didn't hear about investigations being influenced by political or media considerations. I know some people have that point of view. It's a point of view that has been inculcated by people like Bongino, but I never saw anything like that. And I certainly never heard any rumors or any sort of assertion whatsoever that this investigation was being slow walked, or that there was a cover up of some sort, or that it wasn't being handled by the book.
There is also a question about the potential opportunity cost of having FBI agents ordered to work around the clock so that the Attorney General could try to fulfill his promise to release more information. A lot of these agents were supposed to be working on national security matters. How much of the FBI's resources do you think have been dedicated to just reviewing this case?
Much too much. For a good portion of the beginning of Patel and Bongino's reign, I was acting as the special agent in charge of my own field office. And while I'm not going to get into specific details that have not yet become public, the fool's errands that we were regularly required to exert time on really took away from serious investigations. I'm talking about public corruption and white-collar investigations, counterterrorism plots, counterintelligence schemes. There is this willingness to throw personnel, money, and resources at whatever is catching the eye of the MAGA base right now, and that's not a way to run an investigative agency on which the public defends.
When you allude to these fool's errands, I wonder, and I noted that you didn't want to get into specifics, but I wonder, did that involve loyalty tests, so to speak?
No, I'm not talking about loyalty tests. I'm talking about relatively baseless conspiracy theories, which individuals like Bongino have now spent years alleging that the government is covering up, and being forced to scour files for things that we know aren't there. And I get there's going to be a certain amount of political pressure in any administration, but this was really, to a degree, I never saw under any other president or any other director or any other deputy director.
Wow. One last question, Mike. Do you think that the American public knows the truth about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, look, I think Jeffrey Epstein was a monster of a human being. I don't think anybody should lose sleep that he is no longer with us. But, a case was opened on him, admittedly, probably too late. It was investigated. He was arrested. He was imprisoned. He took his own life. And as far as I know, that's it. There is no reason other than the ability to score political points with the MAGA base that this should still even be talked about to this day.
Mike Feinberg, great to get your perspective. Thanks so much for being with us.
We have new reporting on what's going on with the backlash from CNN's White House and Justice Department teams. FBI Director Dan Bongino, who fanned the flames of this conspiracy theory as a far-right podcast host, could be on his way out. He threatened to quit unless Bondi was fired. Sources tell CNN that the president was infuriated by that, and maybe it has caused irreparable damage and a rift between Bongino and the White House. Kash Patel said in a tweet over the weekend, the conspiracy theories just aren't true. Now, we think those conspiracy theories he's referring to are that he would quit or be fired, but we'll see. It's an honor to serve the President of the United States, and I'll continue to do so for as long as he calls on me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other really interesting dynamic about this entire story is a lot of the anxiety around this and the frustration with how it was handled is not just on the outside, it's on the inside of the White House as well. I mean, as soon as that memo went out, I talked with a ton of people at the White House who said they were very frustrated with specifically Attorney General Pam Bondi on this. And now you're hearing, of course, we're getting a look at how Dan Bongino is one of the people who is also not happy with this and kind of making it known. And we have new reporting now, and Kristen Holmes was behind some of this as well, is that the vice president has been calling up Bondi, Patel, Bongino to really try and get them all on the same page here, because they don't want an internal crisis as well as an external one.
But isn't it, we have seen over and over again that Donald Trump sees the Justice Department and his Attorney General as his personal lawyer, does what he says. For him to say this is, or for anyone to say this is Pam Bondi and not Donald Trump, goes against all of that.
Which is why so many people aren't buying it in his orbit.